Our top story tonight, 2 stories of survival in Puget Sound. A woman survived 3 hours and swims to shore after her boat capsizes.
On Mount Hood, a joyous reunion after some Western Washington hikers are rescued from the bitter cold.
Water restrictions for residents of Bellevue are just about an hour away from taking effect. Tonight, we'll show you how people are getting ready.
And a 5-horse pileup at a Pennsylvania racetrack. Details next. King 5 News at 11.
Some of you lucky people are getting new calling cards from AT&T. There's just one little hitch. That easy-to-remember card number you've always had? It's history. But don't worry, you can still have a card with your home number plus 4 digits. The new phone card from Sprint. Call now, and it even comes with 100 minutes free. So, which phone company's calling card would you rather have now?
Total indulgence, zero guilt. Total indulgence, zero guilt.
Weight Watchers presents 3 chocolate sensations. New brownie a la mode, new creme-filled eclairs, and double fudge cake. Each just 200 calories or less. From Weight Watchers.
Total indulgence, zero guilt. Yeah.
Mercury Sable continues to distinguish itself as a leader in automotive design. This year, we redesigned the exterior, the interior, the instrument panel, and equipped it with dual airbags, a feature not offered by any other manufacturer in this class. Other than that, we've pretty much left it alone. All this in the quality of a Mercury.
I'm home. There you guys are. Hiya, honey. Oh, what's wrong? This is usually your favorite part of the day. Oh, bad headache. Let me help. I'll take the kids. You take a Motrin IB. The doctor says it's the same medicine as in prescription Motrin, but in non-prescription strength. Really works on my headaches. So go relax. I'll take care of Mr. Duck.
Motrin IB, the relief of Motrin in non-prescription strength.
First in the Northwest, this is King 5 Television. And now, with all the news for Western Washington, Gene Enerson and Barry Judge, meteorologist Jeff Renner, and Tony Ventrella Sports. This is King 5 News at 11.
Our top story tonight, amazing tales of survival. A woman survives hours in Puget Sound after the boat she was on capsizes. And 2 Seattle residents use their wits to survive 2 nights stranded on Oregon's Mount Hood.
We begin with a deadly sailboat outing in Puget Sound. A couple left the harbor in a 16-foot sailboat last night. 3 hours later, they found themselves stranded in the Sound. Our top story begins with King 5's Susanna Frame.
By Monday night, the waters on Case Inlet had calmed from a treacherous, choppy storm on Mother's Day. That's when the Parkland couple set out from Boston Harbor. They sailed the 16-foot boat up to Case Inlet, battling 3-foot whitecaps. Around 9 o'clock, the boat capsized, throwing the man and woman into the icy waters. They clung to the boat for nearly 4 hours, calling for help, and finally swam to shore. By the time the couple reached shore, they were so exhausted and disoriented, they collapsed right here on the beach, suffering from hypothermia. At daybreak, Janet Colson managed to drag herself up this 100-foot bank to a neighbor's house looking for help.
She found a big stick. In fact, it's outside the door, and she'd walk with a stick, and then she'd crawl a little bit, and then she'd walk with a stick, and we figured it took her about 2.5 hours to get up here.
But she was in shock, though. You have to understand that she was in, terrible shock.
Janet collapsed on Elva Reeves' porch about 8:30 in the morning, nearly 12 hours after the accident.
And she was very concerned that somebody get down on the beach to help our companion. He was so weak she couldn't get him up.
When medics got to the beach, the 47-year-old man was dead. The Coast Guard says the couple never should have left the boat.
So a common mistake when people fall in the water is trying to swim for land or swim for another boat.
Pierce County officials say the couple had life preservers in the boat, but they weren't wearing them, which they say in this case could have been the difference between life and death. On Case Inlet, Susanna Frame, King 5 News.
The Coast Guard had issued an all-craft advisory for Puget Sound.
3 climbers who had a rocky experience on Oregon's Mount Hood this weekend are resting comfortably tonight. A Seattle couple and a Portland man braved the elements for 2 days while 150 people searched for them. As our top story coverage continues tonight, a look at how risky rescue efforts paid off in a homecoming that proved to be particularly sweet.
Good to see you. Oh, I'm glad you're here.
A warm hug greeted Sherry Anderson, who survived 2 harrowing days on Oregon's freezing Mount Hood. The mountain climber from Seattle got trapped in a blizzard with her husband Dean and Don Lacer of Portland.
The first night we were still up on the mountain, and we had 1 sleeping bag and a couple of space blankets, and we just trade off 2 people in the bag and then 1 out for an hour and then the other one in to warm and rotate like that. We did that all night, and then we headed down the next morning.
Shivered a lot all night long, but we came out and we were fine the next morning. That was the turning point. Making the first night was the hardest. There you go.
A blizzard separated the Andersons and Lacer from their climbing party Saturday. A climbing companion praised the courage of the search team.
You can't hardly express the incredible gratitude for the people who are out there doing the searching. You know, there were 150 people on the mountain today. You just have to be very thankful to the Lord that he watched over them and took care of them and protected them while they were out there.
Coincidentally and tragically, 6 years ago this week, 9 climbers from the Oregon Episcopal School died while climbing Mount Hood. 2 men are doing fine tonight after making an emergency airplane landing on an Anacortes street today. The Assistant Police Chief, David Meade, says the plane lost power after taking off from the Anacortes airport this afternoon about 3:30. Meade says the single-engine plane landed on Highland Way, about a quarter of a mile west of the airport, then caught fire. But both men inside managed to escape with only minor injuries, and nobody on the roadway was hurt.
In other news tonight, the clock is ticking toward D-Day in Bellevue. The D in this case standing for dry. At midnight, mandatory water restrictions will go into effect. King 5's Bill Prasad says many residents spent the evening preparing to face off against the worst water shortage in years.
Jolynn Lambert washes her car once a week, and it's no coincidence that she's chosen Monday as wash night. She doesn't have a water conservation nozzle on her hose, meaning this would be a violation Tuesday morning. Even though restrictions are not yet in place, she's still being stingy with her water.
Just trying to use as little water as possible, a lot less than I used to.
Mandatory restrictions mean Bellevue residents will not be allowed to water their lawns. It will be okay, though, to use a hose with a shutoff valve to water shrubbery. Officials recommend you save water by reducing the amount of times you flush the bathroom bowl and by placing an 8-ounce jar filled with water in the tank. They also advise you not to use your dishwasher or clothes washer until they are full. Finally, check your house for leaks that could drain your wallet and the water supply. Officials hope each resident can save 10 gallons a day by following their measures. Ron Lambert says he got ready months ago for restrictions by installing a water-saving nozzle in the kitchen and in his shower head.
So I think it's very important we start to restrict now so that we don't run out in the future.
Marjorie Fleming worries about her new plants. She'll have to devote some extra care to them because of the rationing.
So we're putting in extra mulch and putting in a drip line, and it will be necessary to take those kind of steps, I think, to conserve water.
So in less than an hour, doing this in Bellevue will be a violation. Officials expect residents to cooperate. If they don't, beginning next Monday, the people here will know the true cost of conservation. They'll be fined $100 if they waste water. In Bellevue, Bill Prasad, King 5 News.
Officials say residents will get 2 warnings before they're fined, and they aren't cheap. Fines increase $100 for each violation, up to $500. After that, each violation will cost $500. And Seattle's expected soon to join Bellevue in water restrictions. Tomorrow morning, a city committee is looking at the game plan to put water restrictions into effect. One of the reasons Seattle is a little behind Bellevue is because members of the city council are still trying to figure out a way to enforce the mandatory rules. Right now, a committee is looking at fines or a rate surcharge. The Seattle Water Department says so far it looks like customers are complying with voluntary rules.
As people know, we've been trying to save 20% off normal usage for this time of year. We did it on Saturday. We got down to 129 million gallons. Target was 135. On Sunday, it was 137, so we were right in there again.
The Water Department says the low water use for the weekend probably had a lot to do with the cool, wet weather. Officials say it's most important to have the mandatory restrictions in place during the hot weather.
Complaints that a rap recording is laced with patently obscene lyrics has provoked the Snohomish Island County Library System tonight to ban the recordings by the group NWA. The music considered obscene by some. Well, its popularity of the group encouraged the library system to buy the tape, but after a grandparent complained, the tape was then removed from the stacks of audio.
I listened to the tape and I was appalled that that type of material, it was obviously obscene to me, should be in our libraries.
This is an act of censorship.
You find this personally troubling?
I do.
The library system will reconsider the ban next month. It will also talk about the broader issue of censorship in the library. A bitter battle is developing tonight over Frederick and Nelson's Frangos. The Marshall Field department store of Chicago owns the Frango name. It's gone to court to get F&N to stop making the candy after a similar confection called 6th Avenue Mints. Now, Marshall Field claims that F&N violates a 1986 agreement because the Seattle retailer is closing stores and is, quote, no longer a quality department store. F&N officials fear losing the candy would hurt its chances of keeping the downtown store open.
Besides being a tradition for the Northwest, it's an important part of Frederick and Nelson. And as we try and recover as much value for Frederick and Nelson and pay our creditors off, we want to do that with the assets and Frangos as well.
Frederick says the agreement with Marshall Field applies only to the Frango name and not to the candy recipe.
More to tell you about on King 5 News tonight.
Dan, what we'd like to do is go ahead and do what we can to stabilize the satellite. But once we get to the plus R bar, perform the set maneuver regardless of where we are.
The crew of the Endeavour take another shot, but fail to corral a runaway satellite.
Then can you imagine having a car that tells you how to get where you want to go? Well, we'll have the latest in Car Mania coming up.
Plus details of this terrible crash during a harness race in Pennsylvania. Tony has more as King 5 News at 11 continues.
The Isuzu Trooper
Right on, son.
has been thoughtfully redesigned to include a new suspension system,
Honey, pothole.
I see it.
giving it an incredibly smooth, quiet ride on the road as well as off. Of course, these days, what's the difference?
Can I help you, folks?
Hi, got any microwaves, Bob?
Yes.
Great, let's go, kids.
Thanks, Bob.
Just cooking a Tony's microwave pizza, Bob. Couldn't wait to get home. You work on commission here, don't you, Bob?
Tony's, the pizza you can't wait to eat.
Bob, you make a better door than you do a window, Bob.
Through the years, you've never let me down. You turned my life around. The sweetest days I found with you. Through the years.
From dishwashers to refrigerators, a KitchenAid will last.
Through the years.
For a limited time, selected KitchenAid models now come with some very special offers.
Through the years.
On The Tonight Show, it's Johnny's last month, and you never know who might stop by, like comedy legend George Burns.
Are you practicing safe sex? I was very careful. I wore gloves.
And director Barry Levinson. Then on Late Night, Dave welcomes country's best, Dwight Yoakam.
On tonight's show, Richard Lewis finally starts to come out of his shell.
It's Johnny and Dave later tonight.
You're watching King 5 News with Gene Enerson and Barry Judge.
The former head of the CIA is leading a special investigating team examining how the Los Angeles Police Department handled itself during the deadliest riot in modern history. But as the department goes under the magnifying glass, morale among police officers seems sinking fast. Police are accused of being too brutal with Rodney King and not tough enough with rioters and looters after the LAPD trial. One 10-year police vet says it's a no-win situation.
The police department got you, the non-response to the riots. You're going to get a lot of policemen killed out here, and I'm not going to be one of them. So they can have my resignation today. I'm out of here.
William Webster and former Newark, New Jersey Police Chief Hubert Williams will investigate how the city's leadership acted as violence ruled the streets of L.A. 55 people were killed, damage now estimated well into the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Texas billionaire Ross Perot hasn't even declared himself a presidential candidate yet, but he's on the November ballot in 3 states tonight. Today, Perot supporters overwhelmed Texas election officials by handing in 4 times the number of signatures needed to qualify. Texas polls show that the Dallas businessman is leading the race to the White House. The same in Oregon, where Perot leads President Bush by a commanding 11%. Political analysts expect Perot to declare his candidacy by the end of June. Other news on the campaign watch tonight. President Bush is trying to raise inner city awareness and money. Today, he visited a Philadelphia neighborhood once infested with drug dealers. Tonight, he's at a campaign fundraising dinner. Democratic candidate Bill Clinton, meanwhile, took to the airwaves. By satellite, he told Teamster members in San Francisco they will have a major role in policymaking if he is elected president. A warning tonight about a Northwest favorite, smoked salmon. Seattle's Salmon Bay Fish Company is recalling its smoked salmon pate because of bacterial contamination. Tests reveal the pate is tainted with a rare but potentially harmful bacteria called Listeria. The company recall affects both the 12 and 24-ounce packages distributed in Washington, Oregon, and Montana. You should not eat any pate purchased since March the 18th. Instead, call the Salmon Bay Fish Company during business hours for a refund. 1-800-775-7232.
Briefly, other news making headlines tonight. Rescuers in Nova Scotia have all but given up hope for 15 coal miners trapped in a mine shaft. Search teams have found no signs of life since the blast Saturday morning. The bodies of 11 miners have already been removed from the mine. A group of high school students in Portland are recovering tonight after one student set off a canister of pepper mace this morning. Most students were treated at the scene, but some were taken to the hospital. Officials at Franklin High School in Portland are promising to expel the student who set off that mace canister. And tonight, Massachusetts police are calling a 3-month-old boy a miracle baby. That's because Matthew Murray slid off the roof of his father's car, a car that was traveling at 55 miles an hour. He bounced onto the road and lived. Apparently, his father had put the child in a car seat, placed the car seat on the roof of the car, and forgot about the baby while buckling another child in. Miraculously, the child survived the ordeal without a scratch. The dad, though, got a ticket.
NASA tonight is debating the next move for the space shuttle Endeavour. Earlier tonight, a spacewalking Pierre threw it, tried twice, but failed to latch onto a wayward communication satellite.
And Houston, looking at our prompt numbers and the fact the satellite's tumbling now, I can't see Bruce. We think it would be wise to just save prop, station keep, and for you to read us up our SEP pad for the plus R-bar separation. And let the rest of the folks on the ground think about this again overnight, and we'll come back in here and do this again tomorrow.
Thuit just couldn't keep up with the rotating 4.5-ton satellite, which has been in a bad orbit for 2 years now. 2 other attempts to rescue that satellite failed on Sunday.
Stay up, because in just a few minutes, we're going to tell you about a very smart car, one that drives for you and even parks for you.
First, a very smart meteorologist, Jeff Renner.
Where was that car when I needed it? When I went for my first driver's exam and they wanted you to parallel park. Well, we might be talking frost. It's already down into the 30s in parts of, yes, western Washington. Back with the forecast right after this.
'92 Chevy S10 Tahoe, 9,072. You need to act on the facts. Chevy's S10, greater payload capacity than Ford Ranger. S10 Tahoe costs less than Ranger XLT and delivers more power. Chevy's S10 Tahoe at 9,072 delivers V6, stereo cassette, sliding rear window, rear step bumper, more. More value is why S10 Tahoe is Chevy's best truck value ever. You need to act on the facts. See your Northwest Chevrolet Geo dealers this week.
271 Park.
Considering what a payphone endures, you might expect trouble getting your call through. But a genuine Bell payphone from USWest is reliably built and regularly serviced. So the last thing you'll ever have to do is worry. USWest payphones. For every call you make. For every call that has to get through.
Hi, it's me.
USWest Communications. Making the most of your time.
We've got a bit of an edge with the driver we have. We've got the best driver out there. So it's a matter of the mechanics just not overlooking anything. Al and I stay in constant communication during the race. I have to be aware of what he wants or needs, you know, at all times. I think the small details are is what makes the difference between winning and running second.
Is it this one? Or is it this one? Could it be this one? Or this one? Experts say 1 in every 2 trucks on Western Washington roads has bad brakes. Even with good brakes, how long would it take a fully loaded truck to come to a full stop before hitting you? Find out what you should know about big rigs with bad brakes Tuesday on King 5 News at 11. Because it might be this one.
King 5 News is sponsored in part by the Australian Tourism Commission.
Not a bad evening all in all. The shower's pretty much tapered off, and we're still looking at some fairly cold temperatures. Now, not so much in Seattle, 49 degrees out at the airport right now, mostly cloudy skies. In Tacoma, 51, mostly cloudy, and winds are calm. And up in Everett, it's not that chilly there either. We're looking at 51 right now in Everett, mostly cloudy, winds out of the north at 9. Where is it in the 30s? Down in Olympia, already down to 38 degrees. Well, let's take a look elsewhere across the United States. Lots of strong thunder and rain showers moving from the northern plain states into the western Great Lakes and then down into the central Mississippi River Valley. Some strong thunder and rain showers earlier today in parts of Texas and also Oklahoma. In fact, some tornadoes were sighted, but no reports of any injuries, fortunately. Also some areas of showers over the Pacific Northwest. More on that in just a moment, but we will show you the forecast highs tomorrow. Will include 68 in San Francisco, 77 in Minneapolis, St. Paul, a hot 90 degrees in Dallas, Fort Worth, 82 in Washington, D.C., and 87 degrees in Orlando. Now, here in the Pacific Northwest this afternoon, we had all these shower clouds over us, especially between Everett and Tacoma, but we were beginning to watch this area of blue, this clearing that was opening up over the Gulf of Alaska over the last couple of hours. We'll notice that started to expand, and the reason for that is high pressure building up over the eastern Pacific and the Gulf of Alaska. Now, we still have this weak disturbance called a trough, but that's moving on out of the area. That's going to allow this high pressure system to build up. That's going to dry us off a little bit and also begin to warm us up. Our forecast for tonight, though, anything but warm. Lows from 34 in Olympia on up to 41 degrees in Everett. Showers pretty well tapering off. Call it partly cloudy. Tomorrow, some clouds in the morning. Possibility of a few widely scattered showers between Everett and Tacoma. Then becoming partly cloudy. High temperatures in the upper 50s to the low 60s. Now, east of the Cascades, temperatures over there in the mid to upper 60s, mostly sunny skies. And winds, those are going to be generally out of the north, 0 to 15 knots in Puget Sound and Hood Canal, 10 to 15 knots and out of the northwest to west, north of Camino Island and in the Strait, also along the coast. Up in the mountains, a few scattered showers, and it will still be in the form of snow between 4,500 to 5,000 feet. 5-day outlook, Wednesday dry, 67 degrees. Thursday hitting 70 again. Friday, possibly a few scattered showers, tapering it off by, say Saturday afternoon at the latest, and hitting 71 degrees on Saturday. So, yes, we had sort of a retreat back, not into winter, but into normal spring weather. We're going to be pushing back into almost summer-like over the next couple of days.
Are these light rains enough to keep our grass green, even though we're now restricted into water use?
I would think they would. I'm certainly not a horticulturist, as my yard sometimes shows all too well, but I think for the most part, if you have some rain, measurable rain, every, say, 3 to 4 days, that will do a pretty good job in keeping things green.
Sounds like we have a summer to find out, huh?
We do.
Jeff, thanks.
An earthquake measuring 5.4 on the Richter scale has struck in Alaska tonight. The quake was centered about 160 miles south of Anchorage and was felt in that state's largest city as a series of gentle rolls. No immediate reports of injury or damage.
Do you know anybody so incapable of asking directions when lost you think it's almost genetic? Well, a new high-tech car may save their pride and even some relationships. It's called the Smart Car. A computer provides the driver with a map and different routes to reach a given destination. Then the computer voice navigates for you.
Turn left. You are in the vicinity of your destination.
Well, 100 rental cars in Florida have been fitted with the computer maps in a $12 million trial, and that's just the beginning. The Volkswagen company is testing experimental cars designed to drive and even park themselves. But the computer map is closer to the auto store shelves. It could be available here within 6 years at a cost of about $1,000 a computer.
It's getting so you don't even have to go along. You can just send the car. Tony has an amazing harness racing accident to show you coming up next.
Plus the NBA scores and highlights, so stay right there.
How much did your last doctor's bill set you back?
Henderson, come on in.
At this office, patients simply charge the visit to the Canadian government.
It's a little better. It's actually better than it was, but it's still not good enough.
This is national health insurance at work. But is unlimited access to low-cost health care too good to be true? It's a question that will affect our country's health care and your family's future. A Healthy Price, tomorrow, only on King 5 News at 6:30.
Come on back there.
So you're Australian, huh?
Yeah, I'm from...
I always wanted to go to Australia.
Really?
Hey, wouldn't it be great if we could drop in right now? Wide open spaces, you can breathe the air.
Uh-huh.
And that Great Barrier Reef is really colorful. It's all kaleidoscopic, is that true?
That's true.
And you get seashells by the seashore, I bet.
Some bigger than others.
Spectacular, huh? It's hot and dry and all red and everything, right?
Yeah, in places.
I hear the people are real friendly, am I right?
Uh-huh.
You Aussies, go on and on about your wonderful beaches.
We do tend to get carried away.
No kidding.
Fair dinkum.
Fair dinkum.
For your free copy of the Destination Australia book, call 1-800-999-8015. Or hop on a Qantas flight. I bet you there's one leaving right now.
Fair dinkum. I love it.
In 1855, Frederick Miller brewed a special beer that had as much character as the people who drank it. It's an idea whose time has come again. Introducing Miller Reserve, an all-barley draft brewed in the classic tradition. Reserve and Reserve Light, beer as rich in taste as it is in history.
The more we shop the competition, the better we look. Our price, theirs. Ours, theirs. Ours, theirs. The same manufacturer's suits are less at the men's Wearhouse. I guarantee it.
King 5 News is sponsored in part by Acura Automobiles. In sports tonight, the game that didn't want to end.
That's true.
And with the team you want to win, right?
Well, yeah. We're not supposed to say who we're rooting for, but before the game tonight, as we were discussing, I said, I bet they're over 300 points going to be scored in that game tonight. Son of a gun came through. A classic battle tonight in Phoenix. What a terrific basketball game. The Blazers and Phoenix Suns battled through 2 overtimes. The Blazers hanging on to win it, 153-151. We pick it up in the fourth quarter, regulation time. Terry Porter's three-pointer gives the Blazers a 115-112 lead. It went back and forth all night. A great play by the Suns. Marley to Andrew Lang for the power jam with the right hand. At that point, 118-117. The Suns in the lead, but the Blazers came back. Terry Porter with a terrific move, plus the free throw, ties it at 127 after regulation time. First overtime, Kevin Johnson driving in with the jam. After the first overtime, it was tied at 140. Second overtime, Dan Marley with a clutch bank shot here, and the Suns led 151-150. But late free throws gave the Blazers the lead by 2. The Suns had a chance to win it, but Marley's three-pointer was long. The Blazers hold on to win it 153-151 in double overtime, and they lead the series 3-1. Well, closer to home, Game 4 of the Sonics Jazz series tomorrow night, 7:30 at the Coliseum. Sonics down 2-1, but they may have the answer now. The ability to go big or small at any given time gave them the edge on Sunday. Late in the game Sunday, the big lineup gave the Jazz some trouble, denying Karl Malone the ball. He went 13 minutes without scoring a point.
Actually, I think they're confused with their game plan. They can't go in and say we're going to play big or we're going to play small because they're not sure what team we're going to put out there.
You've seen this play before. Benoit Benjamin tangling with Karl Malone and both going to the floor. Malone says he wouldn't mind that matchup one more time, and maybe he'll get it tomorrow.
Everybody's a genius now. I hope they put him on there again tomorrow.
Is that what it kind of comes down to?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. I'm looking forward to it.
The Mariners spent today flying to New York to open a 9-game road trip at Yankee Stadium. Then they move on to Toronto and Boston after that. Tonight at Vet Stadium in Philadelphia. My favorite team used to be the Giants until they moved out of New York and broke my heart back in '57. That's another story. Matt Williams with his 8th home run of the year. The Giants moving into a first-place tie in the West with the Reds by beating the Phillies 8-7 tonight at Vet Stadium in Philadelphia. Hockey news, the home ice advantage did not help the Rangers tonight. The Pittsburgh Penguins knocking them off 3-2 to take a 3-2 edge in that series. A big night for a Pittsburgh rookie, one of my favorite players in the National Hockey League, Jaromir Jagr. Look at his stick work as he stuffs home the second goal of the game. The Penguins beat the Rangers 3-2. Series moves back to Pittsburgh for game number 6. Okay, last week we showed you how dangerous thoroughbred horse racing can be. In the accident involving Gary Bays at Long Acres, well, harness racing can be even worse. Last Saturday night at a track in Pennsylvania, a 5-horse pileup, Citadel Bass, driven by Bill Zent, hit the wheel of the horse directly in front of it. 1 driver went down, then 2 as you watch it in slow motion. Finally, 5 drivers go down, flying through the air. The most seriously injured of the drivers, Doug Snyder, had broken bones, cuts and bruises, is in fair condition. Bill Zent, the first driver down, believe it or not, drove again later that night.
Oh.
Now, these horses are moving slower than thoroughbreds. I don't know about the damage to these horses, but it would seem as though it would be less than in a thoroughbred race because they're moving slower.
The guys are okay.
They are.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of power out there, Richard.
Tony, thanks.
Okay.
Husky basketball coach Lynn Nance is not a racist. That's according to an investigation conducted by the University of Washington. The King 5 News has learned the conclusions of the report, which exonerates him of racism, is critical of his coaching style. And now there's talk the university will fire Nance before the end of this week. It started when the parents of 2 African-American ball players accused Nance of favoring white players over blacks. The university then ordered a full-blown investigation into Nance's coaching. Findings are still sealed and could be released by the end of the week.
Stay with us. We'll be back with Wake Up Weather.
But first, grab a pencil. Here come your lottery numbers.
At Acura, we believe that a luxury sedan should appeal to a driver's appreciation of soft leather, fine wood, and beautiful stretches of asphalt. The Acura Legend sedan.
Here you are in the checkout line.
That'll be $87.69.
And you don't have one.
Can I have some candy? Well, just a second, Brian.
One of those U-Bank check cards from US Bank.
Sorry, how much do I write this for?
You could have avoided standing here writing a check.
Becky is not going to have one. Can I see 2 pieces of ID, please?
You would have gotten a 1% cash bonus on everything you buy.
Mommy, we've been here a long Don't touch that gum.
Most important, you could have gotten out of here by now.
Is this address current? Everything's going to be fine.
Bifocals? I'm gonna look just like my father. My grandfather. Wait, nobody'll notice the lines if I do some cool frames. Or something. This is not working.
For those who refuse to be seen in bifocals, we offer the perfect disguise. Varilux no-line bifocals. The vision you need, the look you want, none of the lines. Call for a Varilux professional near you.
What kind of truck should you expect for around 10 grand? One with a 2.8-liter V6, rear anti-lock brakes, and killer stereo, standard. Chevy S10 Tahoe. One more reason America's favorite first truck is Chevy S10 pickup. Chevrolet. And now get $750 cash back on the truck that lasts.
Chilly, maybe even frosty, Jeff warned us.
As I've always said, outlying areas can be dangerous, and that's certainly proof of that tonight. We're going to be seeing low temperatures dipping close to freezing, especially south of Tacoma. Elsewhere, here's your wake-up weather. Look for partly cloudy to mostly cloudy in the morning, 37 to 43 degrees about the time you head out the front door or the back door, for that matter, to head to work, or whatever door.
Assuming you have one of each. Huh?
That's true.
So you can't water your grass in Bellevue because of restrictions there, and we've just planted our vegetables, and now they're going to freeze.
They're going to
Is that what you're
freeze.
telling
No, they
us?
won't freeze, with the exception of a few areas.
Just pretty short frost here for the beginning of May.
That's right, in a long summer.
Right. Jeff, thanks. Thanks for joining us. For all the overnight news, join Dennis Bounds and Joyce Taylor, King 5 Morning News at 5 a.m.
And we'll be looking for you again tomorrow at 5 and 11. In the
Good
meantime,
night.
have a good night.
The microwave ovens. It's the...
These days, I've got plenty of ways to spend money.
Mom, I need to check my cheerleading outfit.
That's why I get all my family's glasses at Pearle's Eyebuys department.
Coach says I need a new pair of cleats.
Pearle's Eyebuys is a whole new department of great-looking glasses for only $49.95 each, including the lenses.
Hi, hon, I got your car out of the shop.
Yeah, thanks to Eyebuys, I've got money to burn.
Eyebuys by Pearle, just in time for times like these.
Imagine no longer being bound by the limits of your telephone. Imagine personal communication no longer tied to a home, an office, even a car. Imagine the ability to call or be called, so you can go where you want to go, do what you want to do. That's why Cellular One is building a new cellular network across North America. Imagine what that freedom can mean to you, to all of us. To reserve your number, call our number, 1-800-IMAGINE.
In the real world, we all want a lot for a little. Well, here's a real advantage from your Northwest Chrysler Plymouth dealers. The Northwest Voyager. Here's the lot. Automatic, air, rear window defroster, a driver's minivan airbag, seating for 7, child protection sliding door lock, and convenient cup holders. And here's the little. It's only $14,920. The Northwest Voyager. It's a lot for a little, but it's only for a little time, so hurry. Get a real advantage for the real world at your local Northwest Chrysler Plymouth dealer now.
Somewhere in the Puget